Hello and welcome to Upstack America's Oracle EBS Financials Functional Training. My name is Bob and I'm the lead senior consultant for Upstack America. And with me today I have Victor, who is also a senior consultant. And today we are handling General Ledger Lesson 31. And Victor, please walk us through.
Thank you, Bob, for the introduction. Welcome to Lesson 31 of Oracle Financials Functional Training. Today we are going to start on the topic of consolidation. And let's start with the definition. What is consolidation? Consolidation is the combined reporting for all companies under an enterprise, which, for example, is a parent company and its subsidiaries. Okay. So consolidation is a process that allows us to do reporting for all companies which sit under maybe a group of companies or an enterprise. All right. So suppose we have a company like our company here that we are using, Maskani. We have Maskani developers, and we also have Maskani property management. So supposing those companies are under another parent company, so that company can do its own reporting, but there may also be a need to see how the whole enterprise is doing as a whole. All right. So consolidation is a process that will enable us to do those kinds of reports. So this is a diagrammatic representation of consolidation. So where we can have three companies in this case. So we have the first subsidiary, the second subsidiary, and the parent. All right. So we have three ledger. So we can consolidate the information in these three ledger. That is the process of consolidation, and then we can be able to do reports, financial reports on that consolidated information. Okay. So there's two types of consolidation. One is data transfer consolidation, and the other one is reporting consolidation. So data transfer consolidation, it uses a tool that's called the Global Consolidation System. And reporting consolidation, on the other hand, uses the FSG tool, or the Financial Statement Generator. Okay. So let's take a look first at data transfer consolidation. Just as the name suggests, in this type of consolidation, there's usually a movement of data or transfer of data from one ledger to another. So in this example, we have two subsidiaries, okay, and each has its own ledger. So we can transfer the information from these two subsidiaries to the parent ledger through consolidation, and then now we can be able to do combined reporting from the parent ledger. Okay. Of course, there are other things that need to be done before this consolidation is carried out properly, but we are going to look at that. But this is one example of data transfer consolidation. We have two subsidiaries and their ledgers, and then the information is transferred to the parent company ledger, so that enables us to do combined reports. This is another way we can do data transfer consolidation. So if, for example, you want to do consolidation, but you don't want to transfer the data of the subsidiaries to the parent ledger. what we can do is that we can transfer information, accounting data from the parent ledger, the subsidiary ledger, and the second subsidiary ledger to a consolidated ledger from where we can do our reporting. Okay, so this is just another way we can carry out consolidation. So there's various characteristics or various features of data transfer consolidation. So data transfer consolidation can be done for companies that have different chart of account structures, can be done for companies that have different calendar and currency. Basically, it can be done for companies that have different 3Cs. Okay, so there's ways that allow us to harmonize this information between companies that have the differing 3Cs, so that we can be able to do consolidated reporting. Also, data transfer consolidation, it can be done on a single instance or multiple instances. Okay, so what do I mean? For example, in our instance or in our installation of Oracle, we can have different ledgers. Okay, so that data transfer consolidation can allow us to do combined reporting by transferring that data between those different ledgers, even though they which are on a single instance, to do combined reporting. We are able to do that. We can also do data transfer consolidation across multiple instances. Okay, so different installations of Oracle. We can also do data transfer consolidation between different ERPs, enterprise resource planning software. Okay, so data transfer consolidation gives users a lot of flexibility in terms of how they can do this consolidation. The other type of consolidation is reporting consolidation, which we said it uses the financial statement generator tool. Now, what this does is, unlike the other type of consolidation where there's data transfer, for reporting consolidation, we don't have to do the data transfer. So for example, if we have two companies which exist on a single instance, on a single ledger, and they just exist as different balancing segment values. So in our case, we have Maskani developers and we have Maskani property management. So those are two companies, but they exist on the same ledger, just as different balancing segment values. So reporting consolidation will allow us to do combined reporting for those companies where we don't have to do any kind of data transfer. Okay, so this is that example. This is another example where you can have consolidation, reporting consolidation on a single instance across two different ledgers, two different companies. So these are two companies, okay, and each has its own ledger, and as you can see, in its own currency, okay, but they exist in a single installation. They exist in a single installation of Oracle. So reporting consolidation also offers this feature where you can do the combined reporting across separate ledgers. But you will see that that comes with caveats, okay? So, and what are those? So for reporting consolidation, we have seen that the FSG tool is the one that is used for consolidation and report generation. But in this case, there is no transfer of data from ledger to ledger. However, we can have different companies on a single instance, but different ledgers. However, those companies must share a similar calendar and they must share a similar chart of accounts. They can, however, have the different currencies. So that is this example that we have seen here. Okay. So these two companies, they exist on a single instance. They must share a chart of accounts and they must share the same calendar. Okay. Unlike in the data transfer consolidation, where all these things can differ, the chart of accounts, the calendar, and the currencies. For reporting consolidation, where you have two different ledgers, the only thing that can be different between those two ledgers is the currency. So the chart of accounts and the calendar have to be the same. Now, there's various steps that we need to follow when we are doing the setup for the data transfer consolidation. So this is not for reporting consolidation. This is for the data transfer consolidation process, which uses the GCS, the Global Consolidation System. Those things that we need to do, they can be grouped into two. So we have the one-time setups, okay, and then we have those tasks that we are supposed to run monthly or periodically. So what are the one-time setups that we need to do? We need to specify the ledgers, okay? So we have seen for the data transfer consolidation. Let me go back to that slide. So let's use this one, for example. So we need to specify the source and the target ledgers. So we need to say that the ledgers for which we are doing consolidation is this one and this one as the source and the parent ledger as the target. Okay. So the data is being transferred from the subsidiary ledgers to the parent ledger. So these are the source and this is the target ledger. Okay. The other thing we need to do is to choose the chart of accounts mapping. So what is this chart of accounts mapping? We have said that for the data transfer consolidation, the subsidiary and the parent companies, or the source ledgers and the target, they can differ in all the three C's: the chart of accounts, the calendar, and the currencies. Okay. So in the case of the chart of accounts, supposing the subsidiary has a 4-segment chart of accounts. while the target has a 5-segment chart of accounts. We need to tell the system how information from the source to the target will be mapped, meaning how what segment in the source ledger will be mapped to what segment in the target. Okay, so that is what it means by choosing a chart of accounts mapping. I mean, when I say choose, it also just know that we also have to define this mapping, right? So it's not something that is that just exists that we select. We have to define this mapping and select it for our particular consolidation process. The other thing that we need to do is to choose a transfer method. We are going to see how what these transfer methods are, and we are going to explain how each works. So the monthly or periodic group of tasks are these listed down here. So we need to prepare the subsidiary ledgers. Okay, what does that mean? Like I have said, the 3 C's can differ. Okay, so for example, if the subsidiary ledger is in Kenya shillings and the parent ledger is in US dollars, you have to harmonize those currencies. And how do you do that? First, you can do translation. Okay, and if you have foreign currency transactions that are still open, you have to do revaluation. Okay, so that you can indicate your position correctly if exchange rates have changed. Okay, so although the data transfer consolidation process allows us to do this across ledgers that have different 3 C's, we still have to find a way of harmonizing. Okay, so revaluation and translation. And for translation, we can also solve this problem by maintaining the other kinds of reporting currency ledgers, so the journals level or the sub-ledger level. Okay, however, we need to make sure that we have a representation of the subsidiary ledger in the currency of the parent ledger. Okay, but that falls under the monthly group of tasks. Now, of course, these are processes which, if the need is there, you can still run even without data transfer consolidation in the process, in the picture. Okay, so these are, but if we want to do the consolidation, we have to ensure that we have done these processes. So the other thing that we do on a periodic level, and more specifically at runtime, or when we are doing the actual consolidation, is that we have to specify periods, the source and target. Again, this goes back to the different 3 C's. If, for example, your subsidiary ledger, it uses periods which are months. Okay, but your parent ledger uses weekly or quarterly periods. Then you have to specify how the periods from the source will map to the periods in the target, which is the parent ledger. We also have to specify balance types, the balances that you're going to transfer. So you can do actual amounts, the accounting information, or you can do budget amounts. And you also need to specify the amount types. So there is YTD and there is PTD. remember consolidation, because it's a reporting function, right? And we do our reports at the end of the period. So consolidation usually deals with PTD amounts, because you're going to do it at the end of every period. But like we saw, even when we were talking about translation, we have different. In the case of translation, for example, we have YTD method and PTD method. So the concept is also almost going to be similar when we're talking about YTD and PTD here for consolidation. But we are going to look at this in detail, so forget about the specific information for now. Okay. So we have already talked about this, but just to re-emphasize, when we are doing consolidation, we have to harmonize the 3 C's, and this is because this process, as we have said, it allows for ledgers that have different 3 C's. We do the harmonization of the 3 C's at different levels, okay, or at different stages. So once we define, when we're defining our consolidation definitions, we choose the chart of account mapping, which will help us to which will allow us to harmonize the chart of accounts by choosing what segment in the source maps to what segment in the target. Okay, so we do that during the one-time setups. To harmonize the differences in currencies, we do that by running revaluation and by running translation. Okay, so that's the second C. For for the third C, which is the calendar, we do that at runtime. Okay, when we are doing the actual transfer. So that is when we specify what period in the source ledger is going to be mapped to what period in the target ledger. Okay, so harmonization of the 3 C's, that's how it takes place, albeit at different stages. But we have those are the ways which we ensure that when we are doing data transfer consolidation, these differences in the 3 C's are taken care of, so that we can be able to do our combined reports. Yeah. So I am going to do an introduction on methods, consolidation methods, and consolidation balance types. Amount types is a bit longer of a topic, and we are going to take care of that in detail. So as we have said, these are some of the other things that we need to do during the consolidation process. We need to choose a transfer method when we are doing our consolidation definitions. Okay, and then at runtime, when we're doing the transfer, we need to specify the balance types and we need to specify the amount types, which means we have options. Okay, so for the methods, we have two methods, balances and transactions, and you can tell from the name perhaps what the differences might be. For the methods, we have balances and transactions. For the balance types, we have actual and budget, which is also pretty self-explanatory. And then for the amount types, we have PTD and YTD. So just ignore this for now. We are going to look at it later. So let's look at consolidation methods and balance types, which are somehow linked. So for the consolidation methods, once when you're doing data transfer, if you do balances, then it means that information that is coming from the source ledger or the subsidiary, only balances will be transferred, okay, to the parent ledger. So as we already know by now, these balances, they come from what? From the journals that we post, okay? So if, for example, that the balance in the cash account is a debit balance of 2,000, that debit balance could have resulted from activity coming from maybe even like 100 journals, okay? So all those transactions, they affect the balance, which is like a summary of the individual journals. So if you choose the balances method, then you only transfer the balances, okay, the summary, those summary amounts. However, when you do transactions methods, you're going to transfer all the lines, okay, and the journals which result in those balances. Now, does it really matter? I mean, in a way not, because when we are doing reporting, reports are usually generated against balances, okay? So even if you do when you do the transaction methods, the balances from those transactions will be obtained, and those are the ones you're going to run the reports against, okay? So when we go to balance types, we know the difference between actual and budget. So actuals is the accounting information itself, and budget amounts. We can enter budgets in Oracle for planning purposes. So these two concepts, the method and the balance type, they come and combine in this way. So this is the on this side we have the transactions method, and on this type we have the balances method. So for both of them, you can run consolidated financial reports, okay? However, for the journals or transactions method, you can query journals from the subsidiary, okay? Because you have transferred journals from the subsidiary or the source ledger, and you have transferred them to the target ledger or the parent company ledger, if that's the relationship between those two. So you can query the subsidiary journals in the consolidated ledger. However, since for the balances you're only transferring the summaries or the balances, you cannot query the individual journals, okay? since you did not transfer that information. So the other thing about the transactions methods, the transactions consolidation method, is that with this you can only do consolidation with actual balances. Okay, so for the balance type here, with the transactions method, you can only do actual balances. You cannot do budget balances. Okay. However, with the balances method, you can do both budgets and actuals. Okay, so this gives you the option of using the budget balance types. For the transactions method, we do the PTD balance amounts. Okay, and we're going to look at this, so don't worry. But for the balances method, we can do both PTD or YTD balance amounts. All right. So that's just an introduction on the topic of consolidation. What we have learned here is that we have two types of consolidation. We have reporting consolidation and we have data transfer consolidation, and we have seen the different features or the qualities of both of them. So just to maybe emphasize on the difference between data transfer consolidation and reporting consolidation. So if you have a single instance and you have a single ledger, and the companies on that ledger, they exist as just different balancing segment values, then you don't need to do what? Data transfer consolidation. You just use the financial statement generator tool. Okay. The second scenario, maybe you have, let me use this diagram. If you have two ledgers on a single instance, okay, in this case, you can do reporting consolidation. It allows you to do that, or you can also use the data transfer consolidation process. So maybe you can transfer this information on this ledger to a consolidated ledger, and this also to that same consolidated ledger. You don't have to do it because reporting consolidation will also allow you to do this process. However, in this case, these two companies, they have to have the same chart of accounts. They have to have the same calendar. Okay, that is when reporting consolidation will be available to you in the case of two separate ledgers. However, now when you go into the realm of where you have two ledgers with different chart of accounts and different calendars, then you have to use the data transfer consolidation process. Why? Because in that case, now you have to create a mapping, right? You have to do mapping between the source ledger and the target. And then the other case we have seen is data transfer consolidation also allows you to do consolidation across instances. Okay, so across installations of Oracle. And the last scenario is that data transfer consolidation will also allow you to do the data transfer across other ERPs that are non-Oracle ERPs. Okay. So those are the differences between reporting consolidation and data transfer consolidation. And we have also looked at the initial process of the setup, what we need to do in order to do data transfer consolidation. So in our next lesson, we are going to look at amount types and how they differ between the YTD and PTD, and we are going to look at why for the journals or transactions consolidation method, we use PTD balance amounts, and for the balances we can use either PTD or YTD balance amounts. But we're going to look at that in our next lesson. So unless Bob, you have something to add, I think that's a good place to end today.
Thank you, Victor.
Thank you.